Well, hello, hello. Happy Lunar New Year to you. 恭喜发财. And thank you so much for joining us. 2022, the year of the tiger. Happy New Year to all of you. As you know, today's always special. It's in the loop, and Greg is going to be bringing us all the latest in tech to look at and, of course, to keep on top of and get excited about. And I'm going to keep you posted on what to watch in finance and business. So, as you know, my friend, we're here for you, and we always want to encourage you to continue to share positivity with us, engage with us each and every show. A big welcome to In the Loop with Winnie and Greg. I'm Winnie Sun, longtime financial pro, CNBC council member, Forbes contributor, and co-host of this show. So thank you so much for being here. Happy Tuesday, of course. And I gotta tell you, Greg, this was a treat. I know I pulled you in last minute, but there's only one way to celebrate Lunar New Year, and that is with your family, your friends. And I definitely consider you my show family, Greg. So thank you so much for being here today. How are you?
I am doing good, and thank you. Yes, we are show family, 100%. And hi, everyone. It's so nice to be here. On Tuesday for Lunar New Year. I'm excited to learn more about Lunar New Year and everything that goes along with it. I know Winnie's got a bunch of stuff for us, but I'm Greg Nibbler. I'm a tech reporter. I've been one for a long time, covered a lot of different aspects of it. And today I've got some of the kind of latest breaking stuff we'll talk about, some video games, maybe even a space car. Yes, space car. So that's coming up here in a bit as well. But it's just great to be here on live with you, whatever platform you're watching on, sharing your comments and talking with us. We are live. So this is back and forth as we go through it. So we always appreciate everybody who can join us and share the show and let other people know about it. And there's a lot of fun things to get to. And I know Winnie's got everything to kind of start us off with here for the day. And it's just great to be here. So Winnie, how do you want to start it off today?
You know what? I think we're still going to show with finance, Greg. We get through all that, but you're right. I have some pretty fun stuff. And I know, Greg, you haven't seen this yet, but Lunar New Year is really, really special. And so I'm so excited to be celebrating with you. And we're also celebrating. I see Paul is joining us from Facebook Live. Hello. I love Paul Hardy. He's such an amazing friend. Vicky Garvey. Oh, Vicky, how we feel about you. So amazing to have you with us on Facebook Live, and happy Lunar New Year or Chinese New Year to you. Absolutely. So here's what's some good news. I mean, I guess this is sort of a New Year's, celebrationary market, because we'll take it. The Dow closed up 273 points today. The NASDAQ also up 106 points, and the S&P also up 30 points. So I want to get into sort of the, the nitty-gritty finance, and then we're going to jump into some Lunar New Year trivia. You're going to really want to pay attention to this. Kind of fun. But so here's what I'm going to say. So you might be asking, how did the economy do last year? I want to start with this. In 2021, thanks to a huge inventory rebuild and U.S. households with record level savings and cash, the U.S. economy last year, believe it or not, grew at its fastest pace since 1984. Now, the question, of course, is should we expect the same to take place this year, right, in 2022, especially now that's the Lunar New Year? It's sort of like your second New Year. And the question is, will it happen again? Unfortunately, we don't think so, because as you know, many of the pandemic fiscal support programs are going away. And the Federal Reserve has already been very clear that we're going to need to learn to start to fend for ourselves during the pandemic. Now, that's not only health-wise, but also financial-wise. So 2022, this is what we think the economy is going to do. Well, first off, there's a little bit of bad news, and this is what I want to share with you. It actually happened just a couple minutes ago, so I wanted to update you. There was just a discussion, breaking news, that the U.S. national debt has topped now $30 trillion. Now, this is the first time that it was ever announced, and that will happen today. Now, thanks to the huge borrowing that occurred during the pandemic, the record levels of debt created largely by the money needed to combat the pandemic and sky-high inflation and the increase of goods that we'll all need to survive, unfortunately, the American economy now is in a big pickle. Now, this means the record levels of debt arrived much sooner than we expected here in the United States, expected due to really trillions in federal spending for dealing with the pandemic. In fact, $5 trillion, as you remember, was funded and expanded for unemployment benefits, SBA loans, survival benefits for small businesses, and of course, stimulus checks. Now, many of you may have received that. Well, that was part of it. And so this was financed and borrowed with money. So unfortunately, the US government is pretty much getting to the point where it's tapped out. So at this point, they need to be collecting more money and spending less money, which, if you take that into consideration, translation, you should probably expect taxes to be rising sooner rather than later. Now, the next question that we've been talking about, and that is, so what's the news on the US job market? Now, today, my friend Jeff Cox at CNBC shared that last month, December, the US Labor Department report showed that now there's almost 11 million jobs that are open as we see the great resignation pulling back a little bit. Now, that number may be better than you expected, but it's actually still really bad. So, plenty of job vacancies still right now. And unfortunately, it's a lot higher than expected. Now, on the same topic, though, I wanted to bring this up. For those of you who also, follow Greg and I on LinkedIn, Jessica Hartogs is a business editor at LinkedIn, and she shares that part-time workers actually want more hours. It's really interesting. It's a really interesting trend. She's saying that, that there's a lot of workers in the retail, restaurant industries or fast food, if you will. They're starting to become really fed up because they're saying that they want more hours, they want more reliable schedules, and they're getting like a lot of part-time work and not enough part-time work. And it's so important. This is such a big topic that they're saying that if companies don't just think about hiring more part-time employees, they're going to get in a lot of problems in that they're going to be losing employees, period. Because people want more salary increases, because now, especially with inflation, what they're receiving in income isn't enough. So they need more hours, less part-time. So if you keep on depending on part-time scheduling, many of you businesses out there, you're actually going to be at the risk of losing more employees. So keep that in mind for those of you who are business owners. All right, Greg, I mean, I'm sure this is not completely news to you. You probably knew this or have been thinking about that, but what do you think about this?
Yeah, the fact that people want more part-time work. I mean, it is, it's really interesting just even going around the city here where I am, and you see places have to close early. There's not enough people to fill the jobs. And I know that's such a huge part across the entire sector. So, I mean, I don't think I'm well versed enough to say, how all that is happening, which is why I love hearing about it from you. But yeah, you would think it would make sense to start hiring more people, even if it costs more money, just to keep going in the long run. That's how I would think about it. If people are wanting to work more, provide them that.
I agree with you, Greg. I think that makes sense because like you're thinking the right way. I think people would want to work for you, Greg, because you're thinking this way. But it's so true. We want to make sure that I remember when I was working at Smith Barney for the longest time, they always said, it's much easier to keep your existing clients than have to spend all your time looking for new clients.
Yeah.
And I think that the truth matters also when it talks to employees. It's much better to keep your employees, keep them happy, keep them well paid, than have to go through that rotation again and finding new help. Yeah.
I mean, and training people and getting all start from the ground up. Yeah. Once you have somebody, keep them happy and keep them working for you. That seems like that would be the better option.
That sounds like the better option for sure. And then, and now we're going to have to pay more in taxes, Greg. Did you hear that too? That was just
hear that.
I know. So we got to work a little harder, I guess, to pay for Uncle Sam.
Right. Yeah. Always fun, but
always fun. Well, let's talk about some fun news. And that is, today is Lunar New Year, for those of you who didn't know. So people always ask me, well, is Lunar New Year the same time every year? And actually it isn't. In fact, I go to Google and I type in, hey, when's Chinese New Year or when's Lunar New Year? Some people call it Lunar New Year. Some people call it Chinese New Year. It's really the same thing. It's the same day. And it's celebrated by a lot of people. So here's what I want to do. I thought I would bring in 3 bits of trivia, have some fun with this, because to be honest with you, I didn't even know a lot of this. So I wanted to look it up so I could share it with all of you. So here's our first trivia question on Lunar New Year. Okay, this is, how many people in the world do you think celebrate Lunar New Year? Is it A, which is 200,000 to 20, B, which is 600 million, C, which is 9 trillion, D, 7 million, or E, 2 billion? All right, so let's see. Now, those of you who are watching, I see many. I see Modern Mom. I see Vicky joining us. I see Paul. I see so many of you on the different platforms. I want you to try and jump in and answer this. And don't worry, we're not gonna put. We'd love to see what Greg thinks, but to be honest with you, I didn't even know the answer. So this was really, really interesting to me because I was a little surprised, and I want to share with you some context on this answer because I had some help with some members of my team that actually gave me some more insight on this. Okay, I see Vicky is saying D 7 million. Definitely a lot of people. Vicky, 7 million. All right. All right, Greg, let me ask you, what do you think? You want to take a guess on this?
I'm gonna try to take an educated guess on it.
Okay.
Just to see if I can figure it out. I feel like it's either B or E is what I'm gonna go with.
E. Okay.
But I think just because of the population of China and even going into Southeast Asia of who might be celebrating the New Year, I'm gonna go with E. I'm gonna go with E, which is a huge number.
Which is a huge number. It's 2 billion.
Yeah.
Okay. So in case you guys didn't know already, there are so many reasons why I approached Greg to do this show together. Not only is he the nicest guy, but we can just agree that he's also one of the smartest people that I know, right? Because the answer is absolutely E. It's 2 billion with a big B. It's so interesting. I want to give this some context, okay? Because the world's population is about like 7.75 billion people in the world. All right. And so 2 billion of them celebrate this each year in some way, even if it's just as a national acknowledgement. But to give you an idea, how many people are in Asia? So one of my team members looked this up. About little less than 4 billion people are in Asia. So then my question was, wait, does not everybody in Asia celebrates Lunar New Year? And sure enough, like there are certainly some people, quite a few large countries, I think like India doesn't celebrate Lunar New Year. And so that's sort of where you get the 2 billion from. And Sadiq is saying 2. I think he guessed it, E, 2 billion. Deb is really surprised. Deb's on Facebook Live with us saying, wow, 2 billion. I know that's a lot of people, but it's actually going to get better. I have more. It's almost like a fun trilogy for me. But countries that really celebrate big Chinese New Year, obviously China, Taiwan, Indonesia, the Philippines, Vietnam, Korea, Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, I think Japan as well. So many, but they're saying like some of the biggest areas where they celebrate are in places like here in Los Angeles and New York, London, Vancouver, Sydney. So yeah, it's a big thing. Now here's one. This is my second question. I'm thinking many of you will know the answer to this, but it's still fun to talk about. And that is, what zodiac animal is it this year? Is it A, the rabbit, B, the pig, C, the ox, D, the tiger, or E, the snake? All right, so let's see. Okay, Deb is saying tiger. All right, let me know what you all think. Okay, Vicky is saying D, the tiger as well. Wow, you guys are really on top of this. Deb is saying tiger. Kenna, hello, Kenna. Kenna's saying D, tiger as well. Thank you. Now, bonus points if you know what animal you are, because that would be fun to know too. All right. Well, let me ask you this, Greg. Do you know what animal you are?
I think I do. I wanted to Google it just to check. I think I do. I believe I'm the rat.
Okay, I'll tell you. I'm the ox.
Not what it doesn't sound that great, but let me double check though. I am. Oh, it's snake.
Oh, you're a snake. Okay, my dad was a snake. Yeah. Vicky is a dog. Okay, cool. So really fun. So yes, so this year it is tiger. And just like in Western astrology, there's 12 signs with the Chinese zodiac. So each represents a different animal, like the rat, the ox, the tiger, the rabbit, the dragon, the snake, the horse, the goat, the monkey, the rooster, the dog, and the pig. My husband's actually a pig. So here's what you should know. This is kind of fun. So the year the tiger actually is for people who were born in 1950, 1962, 74, 86, 98, 2010, or 2022. Okay. Now the tiger is known as the king of all beasts in China. So the zodiac sign tiger is sort of a symbol they consider somebody who's really strong, who, can prevent evil and who's really brave. And so like you'll see a lot of people are sort of sharing memes and even gifts of like tigers right now, and that's why they kind of celebrate that. But what I'm really kind of happy about, I will tell you, is because last year was the year of the ox, and actually I am in the year ox. And what people don't know is that if you are the same animal as the year of animal, typically you're supposed to like have a bad luck year. And I think I had a pretty tough year last year, so I can kind of see that being the case. But this year is supposed to be a great year for the ox and the goat. So hopefully that ends up being true because that would be some awesome, awesome news. But yeah, the other thing is a lot of times you'll see a lot of red being shared, right? You'll see like those lanterns that are red, and wearing red is supposed to bring good luck and for the new year. Okay, so there's like really funny things. Like some things people are saying, like, well, you don't want to like sweep your house today, and you don't want to like take your trash out today because they're saying that the luck is with you today, so you don't want to discard your luck today. I know
That
a lot
is
of funny
fascinating. I
things.
just changed this to red too. I don't know if it's coming through as red.
It is
Try to
coming
max because
to.
I'm
There
definitely
you
not
go.
wearing red in my shirt.
I know. I'm sorry, I
It looks a
forgot to
little
tell
burnt
you.
orangish, but it's supposed to be red.
It looks red. It looks red. We'll take it. All
Okay,
right,
good.
so let's go to the next question, okay? So, because this is a fun one. I think some of you have seen this before. I know. Thank you, Vicky. Vicky says it's my year. Okay, this question is, why do people hand out red envelopes on Lunar New Year? Now, I don't have one on my desk right now, but some of you have seen, that they have these little like red, literally red envelopes on them. They usually have some sort of like New Year looking design on them. Sometimes they'll have an animal, and people will hand them out, right? So let me ask you, why do you think people hand out red envelopes on Lunar New Year? Is it A, to help pay your rent or other debt? Is it to help you pay for your new Tesla robot, Greg? That's B. C, is it to invest? D, is it to send good luck, wishes, and luck? Or E, is it to buy more dumplings?
Oh man.
All right, that's a big one. Okay, D. Vicky is saying D, to send good wishes and luck. And Kenna is saying the same. Deb is saying the same. Wow. Sadiq is saying superstitions. Yeah, they're really funny superstitions, but they're kind of fun, I don't know, Greg. What do you think? You want to go with the audience?
I mean, yeah, I think I'll go for any one of these. All sound, good.
Yeah.
But I think I'll go with the audience. Yeah, I'll say, yeah, D, to send good wishes and luck.
Okay. Well, I'm sure, like, for Greg, maybe it could be like to help pay for your Tesla robot.
A future Tesla robot, yeah.
I don't know where that answer came from, Greg. I mean, it just came from nowhere for our trivia.
No.
But Sadiq is adding that the red color symbolizes good luck and prosperity in Chinese. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Thank you so much for sharing. But absolutely the answer is D, to send good wishes and luck. In fact, believe it or not, I thought this was very interesting because it's financial related, right? Billions of red envelopes are exchanged today. Think about that for a moment. Billions. Think about how much money is moving across the world today and red envelopes. That's kind of crazy. That's a lot of money.
That is wild. Yeah, I love learning about this and learning how much is involved. But yeah, billions, I would have never.
Billions of dollars
in red envelopes.
Red envelopes today, not being taxed. Okay, that's a whole other topic. But so here's what's interesting. I want to share this with you because some of you might like this. Now, red envelopes, who gets a red envelope, right? Does everybody get a red envelope? Like, do I get one? Do you get one? Well, here's the thing. Typically, red envelopes are given to younger people from older people, or from married people to non-married people. Now, typically, if you're married, you don't get red envelopes anymore. Okay, so that's sort of the rule. And typically, now your boss can give it to an employee, right? That's okay. Like I guess higher up, so like President Biden could give us all red envelope in the form of a stimulus check. We take that, but basically, most of the times it's known that like once you get married, you're out of luck. You're like no more red envelopes for you. And these can actually be quite big, Greg, just so you know. So people have asked me like, how much is the average amount in a red envelope? Well, like I've done these sort of talks for my kids' kindergarten class and first grade. So I would put like, $2 in each red envelope for every kid in the class or something like that. But typically you'll see anywhere from $1 to like $10, or let's say it's grandchildren, it could be as high as $20 or $100. So it wouldn't be unexpected if you have a big family, you could come away with like $1,000.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
on New Year's.
That's a pretty good haul.
That's a pretty good haul. That's tax free. I know right now. Vicky's like, whoa, that's pretty good, right? Yeah. So Deb's like, probably 2 billion. That's right, 2 billion, maybe more. But yeah, so that's what happens. And the other thing is, as you know, some of you have probably enjoyed Chinese food back in the day. But here's the thing is like New Year's is all about eating. Like, let's just say like Asians eat a lot of food, right? They really, really are really serious about their food. So much of like what you eat during the New Year's is like symbolic too. So for example, people eat dumplings. And then why do they eat dumplings? Well, because the shape of the dumpling kind of resembles back in the day what money looked like. Money, like little things of gold, would look like dumplings. Actually, I didn't even know that. I looked that up.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I love that.
The other thing you want to do is obviously eat noodles. And why do we eat noodles? Now, like when I was a kid, since I was born here in the United States, we sort of said, well, noodles, could we like eat pizza because cheese is long too? Because noodles represent long life because the noodle is long, right? So we would say, well, pizza has long cheese. So could that work too? So noodles. The other thing is you usually want to eat fish because in Chinese, the word fish, which means like surplus. So you have more fortune, you have more wealth. So it all has like these financial terms to it. So I thought I would share that with you. Do you feel like you know more about Lunar New Year now?
I have definitely learned more, and I will be regaling other people with this knowledge later on. I do that. That dumpling looks like money.
Yeah. And so
also the dumplings look delicious. I mean,
they do, right? Okay, so being on that, I want to share this. I want to share some like what I did this weekend. Okay. So this weekend, for those of you who are connected to me on Facebook or you follow me on Twitter or whatnot, you may have seen, I just shared this because it was just fun to do. So this weekend, I actually made handmade dumplings with my kids because I'm like, we're here in the States. We're like, my kids hardly even speak Chinese anymore. So I'm trying to give them some tradition, and we made dumplings from scratch. So we made like the skin, we made the inside stuff. And by the way, it looks so funny, but it's so good. And and it takes you really need some muscle in it. So like this is my husband's hand in there. He's like making the dough because you gotta like flatten this up, cut it up, and then you make your dumplings. And like my little gift to my family is I made these are 100% organic. Now, and then you'll see, I'm going to show you how you fold them right here. So my son's fancy Star Wars pajamas, you'll see in the video as well.
Nice.
But this is how you fold a dumpling. Now, look really closely, and you're going to see a little thing that looks like a piece of Jello on top. That's sort of my secret thing. Now, not to worry, that's not fat or anything. But what I do is I use like chicken broth or pork broth, and then I put gelatin in it, and I make it into a little Jello cube, and that's how you get the juiciness, the soupiness in the dumpling.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and so that's how you do it. Now, I know a lot of people on Twitter were asking me if I could send some. Now, Greg, I would totally watch. My son's gonna make a Star Wars version of this like in a minute because he's not sure what to do here, but we were making them. I couldn't keep up. We were making them and cooking them, and like literally, we ran out, and we weren't. It was like that. I Love Lucy scene where people. It was like
eating them faster than making them.
Yes. So I'm hoping, Greg, you can find me a robot one day that can make me dumpling wrappers.
A dumpling robot? Yes.
Yeah.
I think that is somebody needs to be working on that right now.
Yeah, right. So yeah, so this is what it is. So I make them obviously because I make them so my kids love to eat them. So they're really really simple ingredients, but taste really really delicious. They got that soup in them, which is now the secret is like
Yeah.
using literally gelatin. But if you don't want to do it and you still want to, I didn't want to share with you. I found out that Panda Express, which I think is in a lot of places, they're actually celebrating Lunar New Year today, and they're saying just for one day, if you go, they will give you your own red envelope. They're giving out 1 million red envelopes, and each envelope contains a coupon and like I guess a drink or something like that. And they're giving you like this lucky collectible fortune cookie. I'm not sure how much this will be worth on eBay one day, but I thought, you know, they actually should have sent us something, Greg, huh? Because
I
like
feel like it. Yeah. I mean,
we
especially with
don't
how much
talk to them,
knowledge
but
you're.
they should talk to us. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with how much knowledge you're sharing here for everybody. That's yeah. They owe you a red envelope at this point.
I know, I know, and I know I owe you a red envelope when I finally see you. I'm gonna make sure that you get one too.
I will
But
bring one also.
well, you can't because I'm married, so
Oh,
I
that's
don't.
right. I can't give you
I've been
one.
X.
Well, then I'll just take the red envelope. So yeah.
Yeah, you get two. I know, right? So then you like wonder, well, like does my pet get one? And like, yeah, I don't know. But Greg, tell me what's going on because I saw a little bit of news today. Did you see Tesla's like gonna recall like 53,000 cars because of that
and
driving
I haven't
thing?
even had a chance to completely catch up on all that because there's been so much going on today.
Mhm.
And I can try to grab some of that news right now. Yeah, Tesla recalling 54,000 vehicles with the
'Cause
full
it's self-driving
self-driving
thingy.
feature. And that's
Yeah.
one of those things they've been having issues with too, with some of the things they've rolled out with full self-driving. And to reiterate, anybody who does have a Tesla, that doesn't mean you can just take your hands off the wheel, not pay any attention and go to sleep. So I
Yeah.
think that's there's a misnomer
That's for
there.
that thing.
Yeah, I think it was a bad marketing and naming to begin with full self-driving, but yeah, definitely some issues there. So if you have a Tesla, you might want to take a look and see if yours is part of that. There's some other things they were getting in trouble with. They had that assertive mode that would allow it to roll through stop signs, and
That's what they're recalling. What I
that's what it
thought
is. It's
was
over that. It's over that.
yeah, and what I
Yeah,
thought was interesting, they said they're gonna Greg, you
yeah,
must
that's
know this more. They said they're gonna do it. They're just gonna like change the system without us having to take the car in, right? Like just like
it should
through
be a
the internet
software
thingy.
update. Yeah, so
There
that
you
it
go.
so vehicles with its beta version of the full self-driving software enabled. So those are the ones yeah, that they're going to recall. So you'll have to get an update on that and roll back some of that stuff. But yeah, that's just happening. I mean, because there's been several things going on today. And that one, if you have a Tesla, be aware of that. And I think that's a little bit of, I mean, it's I guess it's good that it can be done online, with a software update for the most part. It looks like they don't, you don't have to bring your car anywhere in.
Yeah.
But yeah, something to be aware of. And again, full self-driving does not mean full self-driving, go to sleep and
Don't go soon and play video games.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's definitely something to be aware of. So Tesla in the news for quite a few things associated with that. There's some other stuff though that's been going on, and it has to do with the video game, I guess, console wars, if you want to call it that. And
Cool.
it's what we've been seeing over these last, especially since late last year and into this year. I mean, it started off with Microsoft buying Bethesda. So these are the huge, Microsoft, Sony, the big console manufacturers buying up independent game developers so they can wrap them into their ecosystems, whether it's Xbox or PlayStation. Microsoft had the, Bethesda with the Fallout, which is a huge series that's going into Xbox. We don't know for sure if it's going to be Xbox exclusive, but I think good chances are. And then also them buying Activision Blizzard for $68 billion, $67 billion, right around there.
Wow.
So the news on that today, that the FTC is actually going to oversee that sale. I would have concern that this could be kind of monopoly driven just because of how much they're going to have control over. So that was some big news that kind of broke this morning actually about that the FTC is going to step in to oversee that sale. And it wasn't expected to fully go through till maybe next year anyway, because there's so many moving parts, but that adds a lot more scrutiny upon that sale. So we'll see what comes out of that, if that fully goes through or not. Big news there for Microsoft. Yeah. So FTC getting involved. That's never.
You don't want to mess with them.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with them. And it's because all of these things are consolidating so much. So now you have Sony with the PlayStation ecosystem, and they made the purchase of Bungie. So Bungie, I think it was about $3.7 billion is what they're paying for Bungie. And Bungie, for those who don't know, so they were the original manufacturer of Halo. Halo has since moved on from them, but they were the original manufacturer, Halo being kind of Xbox's premier franchise, if you will. So that's something that Bungie did originally create. But what they really have that Sony wanted is Destiny. And you're seeing here a trailer for the new version of Destiny coming out. And that is because Destiny is the massive multiplayer online game that allows all kinds of people from around the world. Millions of people play this game. It's constantly updated. You can make sales for all kinds of microtransactions in it, and you always have new things coming, so it keeps people involved in it. You can play with lots of other friends, and there's always new stuff. And so that's what Sony wanted, that they didn't really have something like that. And so that's what Sony is getting with this, and that's kind of the big purchase. They did say, though, explicitly that Bungie is going to remain, even though it's 100% owned by Sony, it's going to operate independently. And Destiny's still, they're not going to wrap it into just PlayStation. They said whatever platforms it's on now, it's going to stay that way. So wherever people are playing, whether it's Xbox, PC, what have you, they're still going to be able to play the game as normal. You'll still get the same updates. You'll still get everything that everybody else will get, whether you're on PlayStation or not. So that was their big point of, I think it's really keeping their foot in all these other consoles as well, since Microsoft did grab quite a bit, or it could grab quite a bit with their purchase of Activision. And I think, though, this is another thing for video game fans. That's always the worries. If you have an Xbox, do I need to buy a PlayStation 2 now to play these games, or vice versa? And for some of them, it's probably going to end up that way. They'll turn into exclusives. But I think this is not the end of these independent game developer purchases. And I've seen some things online today. Jeff Knightley from the Game Awards talking about how he's heard there's going to be more purchases. So it's really this kind of gold rush of snapping up these independent game developers and wrapping them into your own ecosystem. And where it stops, I don't know. It depends on how you look at it. It could be great because they get the boost of these big companies. It could be bad because now it's less independence, and perhaps that lessens how many platforms you can play games on. So it's controversial, but it's what's going on. It's what's going on right now, is everybody's trying to snap these companies
It's
up.
huge, right?
Yeah.
This is a huge market. Greg, do you play this game?
I don't play Destiny. I have played it before. I am personally, and this is just my video game preference, I'm not great at online gaming with a whole lot of other people because I'm usually not very good. And so I don't help out a team, and instead my character doesn't last very long. So that's just how I am. Unless I'm playing with my friends, I'll play online with them. But I prefer just kind of the solo mission games, the story modes. I really like those. So that's why I end up playing those kinds of games. But this is something, especially with Microsoft buying Bethesda for me with Fallout, because I like the Fallout franchise, but I have a PlayStation, so that's going to be hard if I'm either going to have to buy an Xbox or just not play Fallout, to see
that's
how that
a problem,
goes.
right? That's how they get you, because you're stuck with one console and one type of game cartridge.
Right. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with Xbox. I like that too, but I've usually got more than I can handle just playing PlayStation. So it's like, do I need to spend another, $500 on a new console plus the games and have both, or should I just be happy with what I've got?
Yeah, that's the tough thing. That's a tough one. I play my Uno. I'm good. Cost me $5. I'm kidding.
Yep. See, well then you're good. Don't get involved in this. You don't want to do it.
It's dangerous. I'm sure. I will tell you. I'm sure I'd be like the worst person. I probably wouldn't even know how to log in properly. I would mess that up. But that's really cool. Talk about such a huge franchise and what a big purchase, right?
Yeah. I think it's going to be a really big year for this. And and whatever goes on with Microsoft Activision, the FTC and all that, as this is all unfolding in real time, that's going to be pretty interesting to see how that plays out, because that's going to be the sign of whether other companies can start snapping up these huge. If you think about it, Sony only spent $3.7 billion. Microsoft spent 68 billion on that.
Too much money. And it's crazy, Greg, is they think and they know that they're going to be able to bringing that back, right? So I
Yep.
imagine they
Yeah.
probably made significant money during the pandemic when everybody where people are still staying home more than they're going out, right?
Oh yeah.
So if that continues, I mean, maybe they're banking that that could continue, and then that could actually drive more revenue.
I mean, it is because it's only growing. I mean, gaming
Mhm.
dollars every year it goes up exponentially. And you're right, the pandemic certainly boosted that a ton as well. I mean, people can't even get the consoles because they can't make them fast enough
Wow.
to get some of them. So yeah, it's not going. The demand for it is not going away. So if you have one of those like Microsoft with even Call of
Hold on
Duty,
to it.
you know, and there's Fortnite out there, Destiny, and all these huge games. It's huge. So it's definitely something to watch. And there's some more news coming out soon because PlayStation's gonna have their state of play coming up, and then you've also got some of the other companies that are coming out with some information too, and new stuff. It's gonna be a big year for video games. So I guess watch out for that this year. Big year for video games.
Well, Greg, Vicky has a question. She's
Mhm.
asking, can they mix together? Can't they mix together?
As far as which
I mean,
as far
maybe
as the
the
games
games,
across platform, they
Mhm.
can. I mean, they certainly can, and a lot of games do. But for some of these, like PlayStation's got a bunch of exclusive games they can only play on there because they want you to buy their console. Xbox does the same thing. So when they
Nintendo
buy
does
up
the
these
same.
independent ones, that's the worry. Is it lessens could it lessen how many games you can play across platform?
Yeah.
But the technical feasibility is all there. They can do it.
They can't, and I noticed, like, well, with my kids, they love to play Minecraft, and I noticed, like,
Mhm.
the capabilities that you have on, like, let's say iOS are definitely limited to compared to what they have on PC. So it could be
Yeah.
actually the same game depending on the platform capabilities. The playing experience is different as well.
100%. Yeah. And the PC gaming market's a whole other one too. For people who love PC gaming, you're probably going to get better graphics. It's a whole different experience on there. But yeah, it's pretty crazy what's going on with all of it. So we'll have to see how it all shakes out. Are they going to play nice with each other? Are they not? It's
We want to know.
yeah. Yeah. And I don't think we'll know for a bit, but everybody's kind of waiting to see what's going to happen with some of those ones. So yeah, pretty big stuff. So you got that going on. Now, another big thing, and this may not seem big in principle, but I think it's a bigger sign of what's going to happen. So as we all know, Facebook is now their parent company is now Meta, which that's instead of saying Facebook owns all these things, it's Meta owns everything. And that's what they made that change last year. Meta owning Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Oculus, lots of other things too. And their whole goal is to create the Metaverse, which, as we're seeing right here, is kind of their example of where the metaverse is going to go. And it's the idea you would have an online digital version of yourself, could look however you want. And eventually that's how we'll interact with each other. You'll play games with friends. You'll go to boardroom meetings, all virtually with your character in there. And you'll be able to use it on essentially any device, although this is much more a VR experience on this one. But that's how they envision the entire online world going. How long that's going to take, that's kind of up in the air. It's not going to be right away. It could be 10 years or more before we get to fully into a metaverse. If anybody saw the movie Ready Player One, which is the VR world that you just put on, you go sit in a chair and you put on a suit and your goggles, and then you're all of a sudden in the world and you can touch and feel things. That's kind of where they think that we're heading. So that's the big grand scale. The small scale today is that now they're going to have 3D avatars, which you already had your avatar you could create of yourself. Now there's 3D versions of your avatars that are rolling out to Facebook, Messenger, and for the first time, Instagram for DMs and at least stories on there. And this is if you're in North America. That's where it's happening first. Canada, Mexico, US. But those are going to be happening to where you'll have a 3D version of
Sorry,
your
Vicky.
avatar. What's that?
I said, sorry, Vicky. She's in the
Yeah, I know. I was
UK.
just thinking about that. Vicky, it's not quite to you yet. I'm sure it will be happening soon. I think North America is kind of the testing ground to make sure they roll it out and work through all the issues. And then for that, with the 3D avatar, you can do some special things for Super Bowl. I guess you can get jerseys and clothes for your characters, for your avatar. And then you can have that same avatar across all the platforms. So you have one representation of yourself for all of those. And I think you can still tweak it for each one, but if you want one, you can do that, kind of merging all of these things into one. So that's rolling out this week to where you're going to be able to do that. I believe it's this week where you can start having the 3D side of things. And it might take a little bit of time, but that's what the big announcement was. of that. And it's really, it comes down to just giving us a taste of the metaverse, of what it's like to get people starting to get used to this idea of the digital version of yourself, and as part of their grand scheme, the huge scope of eventually getting to this online world that you can access via your phone, AR, VR, your computer, whatever device you have. You'd be able to access this metaverse.
So, Greg, I have a question though. Does that mean that literally we're never going to leave our homes again, because we could just send our meta version of ourselves, to New York or London, or not? So, or
Yeah.
Hawaii, where Mark is hanging out, right? Do we just never leave our compound again?
I hope not. I mean, I want to go to New York and London and Hawaii and Europe.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to go there. I want to go to all those places physically, not just virtually. But I think that's kind of, they're taking off what happened with the pandemic and a lot of tech that was already going that way. There's heavy investment in virtual reality and AR, and those aren't really, there's not a ton of people that are in those ecosystems right now. I'll do a little bit of virtual reality for some games, but not really for meetings or meeting up with other people. But it's, as the tech gets better and more people get their hands on it, the more this is going to become an attractive option. If we had that right at the beginning of the pandemic, it would have been cool, I think. But yeah, it's where it's heading, or where they think it's heading, and where they're investing billions and billions and billions of dollars and trying to get all the other companies to come along with them for it. I don't know if the demand is there yet, but they're anticipating they're just making it and saying, you're going to want this. This is what you're going to want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's their plan.
I guess we got to prepare then. I wonder if that's why Mark Zuckerberg is buying islands in Hawaii. He's it's just well, it's going to go meta in the future. So I just want my compound to be the entire island of Hawaii and just hang out there and never leave my compound.
Yeah. I mean, well, if that was my compound, I could probably handle that a little bit better. Kauai is now where I live. Yeah. But we'll have to see, again, how it all comes up. This is the start of it, and you're going to see more and more things like this as they just get people used to it and used to the idea and trying it out. And whether it's a 3D avatar you use now, at least it's there, and then they'll start putting in more features as they go along. So that's where it's heading. So that was their kind of big announcement. I got a couple other things. And I will say this: there's a lot happening next week that I'll give just a quick preview of. But a couple other things that I wanted to bring to light. Lately, I've been talking a lot about medical technology because I do find that fascinating. And there's a study out. So this isn't something you can go get right now, but it's a study from UC Santa Barbara. And it has to do with using your phone, at least the power of your phone, combined with a test kit to determine if you have COVID. It's a COVID test.
Oh, wow.
Using your phone's camera. So the design is meant to be cheap, so that can be used in a lot of different places, and they're targeting, worldwide is where the idea of this would go. And you would need, I guess, to make this work, you'd need some kind of a hot plate, or I'm assuming a stove would maybe work, but a hot plate is what they specifically said. Then you have a test kit, and they said the test kit costs about $7. You use your saliva and you put it onto this test strip, and then you put a droplet on there to interact with it. So it's what they're using to actually run the test. While that's going on, you have your smartphone up there with your camera on it. And the way it interacts is it's going to turn the sample red, but it's how fast and how much of the red that shows up that determines if the virus is present in the saliva.
Oh, wow.
I can't explain how that part works, the science behind that. This is just what they said, that it works. They know what they're doing. But with that, your camera, from what they've tested so far, is able to, analyze that, say it turned red this quick, and combine with an app, it means that this is present or it's not present. You even tested it with the flu. So you could, in theory, someday be able to test to see if you have the flu at home.
Wow, that's great.
That's pretty cool, especially thinking about how much now it's a little bit more readily available to get tests because there's free ones that came out, but imagine if we didn't have to worry about that. You could just do it right there at home and know.
I know.
Right away with an
accurate
test too.
An accurate test. But then we're all going to need hot plates now. That's what.
Yeah, the hot plate thing I thought was interesting. Like a hot plate, I haven't heard that term in a while. So maybe that would change on how you would heat it up. but so far in the like minimal tests, it's like 50, but it's been almost as accurate as a PCR test, if not as accurate.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. That's a lot
That's
better than
super
some of the home
cool.
ones now.
Because then you could like test yourself, right? Because
Yep.
they had one of these hot plates at schools and companies. Then,
Yep.
like, even before my employees walked into the company, I'd be like, test yourself, let's check
Yeah.
them out.
Yeah, and it's a pretty quick test too, and it's I
Mhm.
guess pretty accurate from the way that they've been able to run these trials. They've got a lot more trials to do, and they want to expand it to more phones. But still, I think that possibility of having your phone really be like just adding one more ability into it, that you would be able to do that to test, that's pretty cool. Even,
That's really cool.
even beyond COVID, like knowing if you have the flu or not, like that's kind of great too.
It is a
So,
great idea. Vicky's saying it's a great idea. And I can see this being so many great uses, right? Like Greg, we talked about before, like having this in schools and having this in
yeah,
hospitals. Really, if the hot play was affordable, because you're saying the test is pretty affordable and it's fast, then I could see this being used at, all different places. Like if you're gonna go see a game, right? If you're gonna go to a sporting event, a concert, how great would
yeah,
that be just to do a quick test? But then
yeah.
like we would almost get spoiled. Like it needs to be able to test everything now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, more the better. The more the better. If I can find out, then
You
I'll
have a
just become a
zit.
hypochondriac and like, I don't know, my throat's scratchy. I'm testing constantly.
Yeah.
Uh, better safe than sorry. So that's I thought that was a pretty cool study
That's
though,
super
just
cool.
looking at that technology. And then the final thing I had for today, because we got to go back to some space. It's been a bit since we've talked about space.
We
And
got
this is Toyota expanding upon something they were already planning, which is a Lunar Rover that they're going to be having. And the way this works is they think that within the next maybe even 10 years, that you would be able to, that they want people riding around and living in one of these things. So instead of a Toyota Land Cruiser, it's a space, I think, Lunar Cruiser. Lunar Cruiser is what they're calling it.
Lunar New Year.
The Lunar Cruiser. Yep, on the Lunar New Year. So Lunar Cruiser. And the Lunar Cruiser itself would drive around like an actual vehicle that you would, and there it is kind of hopping off of there, to where people can live and work and eat inside of this thing. It's all controlled, temperature controlled. You've got an arm that would come off of it and be able to perform different tasks. So there's a robotic arm. And they're working with the Japanese space agency, JAXA, to deploy this. And they're hoping by the end of this decade, we'll see, but maybe by 2040 at least, they think that this could be expanding into Mars and other places. But they want to be one of the companies that has the vehicles, the space cars, if you will, that people would drive around in. And this is their showcase of it. They put this out a couple of years ago, but coming up with the name, the Lunar Cruiser, as the take on the Land Cruiser, is what they're showcasing there. Pretty cool. I love that kind of stuff, just to see where it's going.
That's really cool.
Super sci-fi. There are so many movies that have that kind of looking vehicle, and to see it actually something that could come in action as people tear around on the moon, that'd be pretty fun.
That would be pretty cool. It would be so wild to be in one of those things, Greg, and then to look and to see the Earth. Oh, I don't know. That would feel really surreal.
Yeah, the Earth's just over the horizon as you're cruising around. Just wild to think about. That's there's a lot of companies working on that, setting up a moon base and then a Mars outpost as well. And you'll need those kinds of things. You'll need something to get around in. It looks very similar to me to like the thing in, I don't know how many people saw The Martian, but what Matt Damon was driving around in, it looks like an early prototype of one of those that you can cruise around in. So that's what Toyota was talking about today. And it definitely tied into the Lunar New Year with the Lunar Cruiser.
Yeah, good marketing there, because they're trending.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Very cool.
So
Vicky's calling it a Lunar 4x4. That's a great idea.
Yeah, right. Let's go. Yeah, hop around on that thing. That would be fun. I'm very much down with that. I want to go on
you could be that, and you could be Meta. You could be like wherever in your little Lunar 4x4, and you would be like Meta, and then we would. I mean, the rest of us would be in different. I hope to be in Hawaii, like Mark Zuckerberg. I think he's got the right idea there.
Yeah, I know, right? And it helps to be a multi-billionaire on top of that.
It does. It does. Very cool.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, pretty fun stuff from today. And then what I was going to say is for next week too, Samsung's having a big event, so I want everybody to be aware of that. There's going to be some new phones, and they're teasing maybe some new technologies, some new devices. Who knows? But I'm really excited to see what they come up with. Probably the new S22 phone. I think that's pretty much given that we'll get something along those lines. But what else they're going to reveal? I love these big, Galaxy Unpacked, right there. Curtis always on top of it. So that's February 10th. That's going to be showcasing the new stuff from Samsung. So pretty exciting. Whatever it is, anytime a big company like this has a presentation, they're going to try to wow you, and Apple's going to be paying attention, because then when Apple does their event, which is probably coming up in a couple of months, they're going to try to counteract some of this. I love it. It's always a good show.
Well, we're excited. I'm excited to hear what you have to say next week. We'll definitely keep close to us on Twitter, because we're going to definitely tell you what day we're going to come live for you next week. But you definitely don't want to miss Greg's report on that. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what Samsung has. I always think Samsung is just so creative, and they come up with some super cool stuff. Like, I recently saw one of those Samsung refrigerators, Greg, that you told me about.
Yeah.
And I saw it in person in his house, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. And it was connected to Alexa, so it'll be fun to see what you share with us.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it as well. So we'll be talking about that next week for sure.
We will indeed. Yeah. Well, awesome. I mean, thank you so much, Greg. That was awesome. And thank you all of you for joining us today. It was such a fun show. And I think, we just wanted to come together as friends and just to celebrate the new year. And, whatever animal you are, whatever you celebrate, we just hope that, of course, that tomorrow is even better than today for you. But with that, thank you so much for your time, Greg.
Yeah, thank you. And I have learned so much today, and I really want to go get some dumplings now.
Yeah, go get some dumplings. Good idea.
It's going to happen.
Get some dumplings. I love it. Well, be well, stay safe, and we will see you again next week.
All right. Bye, everybody.